Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 279, and today we're doing battle with Katarina Leona. And so, if you haven't been following along with us for the past few videos, this has really become kind of my bread and butter deck of the season. I've been playing this extensively and quite a bit, and I'm quite happy with where the list we've landed on here is taking us. And so if you pull up the lists on like runeterra.ar, you do see much more aggressively oriented versions of this deck. You're going to see a lot of Legion Saboteurs, you're going to see House Spiders, you're going to see Revelers +2 attack thing, and I think that that's all just way too all in. I think this deck, it is nice that it can put together these really aggressive draws to where you start out with 3 1-drops in the first 2 turns of the game, or you do get to spend your first 6 mana of the game on units. That's what you're really striving to do. But I feel like those aspects of adding in the Reveler's Feast and those really kind of low-valued cards really takes away a lot of the kind of mid-game power that comes out of this deck. And I think if you play those versions, you'll find that you're going to run into a lot of games to where it's turn 6 or turn 7, and you don't have anything to do. And so I have slowed the deck down just a little bit. We still have a lot of the aggro oriented ideas in here with the 9 1-drops, but you don't see those saboteurs or those house spiders to help push that through. So to kind of help solve that problem of not having enough mid-game stuff to do, we are playing the 3 copies of Solari Priestess. It does quite a bit of work in this deck in terms of activating the Daybreaks or using it to stun with Leona. It very often generates the 6-cost Obliterate spell to take down a really big problematic unit, and it fits in here quite nicely in these games as to where, say it's like turn 4, and you want to just play a card, right? You'll run into this very frequently as to where you just need to make a play. You just need to get something on the board. You don't want to pass on turn 4 just playing like a 1-drop and then banking 3 mana into the 3 mana you already have. And it does a wonderful job of really coming in and filling out that curve. The last remaining oddities that you're going to see in this deck, we are playing 1 copy of Shunpo. I love this in here. I feel like someone playing Katarina Opulent Foyer is probably going to try and take the credit for adding Shunpo to the stuff, but no, it was me. I take sole credit for being the one to figure out that Shunpo isn't as garbage as everyone once gave it credit for. I discovered it for this deck in the sense that you really want to have access to rallies, but sometimes Katarina just dies, and getting that Shunpo in here was a excellent way to get that extra rally in here. Sometimes the only way also turns out to be an excellent way. I guess that's not entirely true. There's like some 8-drops you can play, but Shunpo is the most cost-effective one. Last but not least, we're playing Nox and Tellstones. I've become quite happy with this as well. It gives us a combat trick or a removal spell in the Whirling Death, or I've even cast Weapons of the Lost a few times. But I feel like people are going to start finding a bit of increased need with cards like Nox and Tellstones, or even just Whirling Deaths, as this is starting to become a format that's very important to be able to kill a Katarina. And so the Nox and Tellstones kind of does it all. It can protect our Katarinas, can protect our big units. We can use it as a Whirling Death to kill an opposing Katarina, just use it in combat to help pick up a win. Very good utility there. And so, this is the deck. That's what we're going to be doing battle with today. I checked on the deck. I knew that we made it fully premium in the last video, and so nothing to add in here today. I did check out the store to see if there was anything to purchase, at least in terms of emotes, and there is like a Leona emote, but I feel like this one, I don't know, this feels like a BM emote. It feels like a bad manner emote. Like anytime your opponent does something and you respond with the yay emote, it's either just like straight sarcasm or it's just BM. And so I figured I would leave the leave the Leona emote at home. We'll stick to the Salt Bay for that necessity you get out of the out of the meme kind of emote. But off to battle. Let's jump in, see what turns up. See if we can't have a little bit of fun here today. I'm gonna have fun. You are too. Remember, you don't ask the question, you tell. You don't say, are you going to have some fun today? Nah, you're not having a good time. We're not asking you that question. So you just tell it. So you are having a good time. You are enjoying yourself. I can't blame you. I mean, you got the old FTP bust video turned on. You got to be having a good time in your life for that to happen. Well, let's see. It looks like we found a game. We get to jump on in. What did you find for us, Riot? Is this even going to load? Are we going to play games today? There we go. Pirates. Okay. Should be a pretty reasonable matchup. They do tend to struggle with our early game Daybreak package, so we'll see what we can do. See if we can get some nice shutdowns. Ooh, nice curve. That was a really strong mulligan picking up the Solari soldiers. This Pirates has the real struggle in getting that early game aggression in when you just play straight up bigger units on them, and so pretty good curve. Let's see what happens. And so the thing I will say against the Pirates matchup is you are the control deck, right? We're not the aggro deck in here. I know we have Legion rearguards in our deck, and we really want to come out and do the aggro kind of thing, but we are not the aggro deck here. We're going to be the control. And what tends to happen in this match, and where you can kind of get yourself into a little bit of trouble, is where you start to just like attack with the shield bearers that don't have very much health. You get a trade from the opponent. They're able to completely fill out their board, and then you can't fill out yours. And so we'll look to avoid that in the game here today. See if we can't just stall out a little bit. Let our Ravoons do their thing. Let our Solari Priestesses do our thing. Let's get ourselves a little bit of time. But should get a free attack here. We'll have a unit for the next turn. If he plays a Mirai Warden or a House Spider, we have at least a decent block with the Shield Breaker next turn. And then if he doesn't open on us, we get a nice stun out of the Sunhawk. Here comes. Battle time. Okay. You don't see too many Crackshot Corsairs these days. Really coming in and bringing that extra aggro element to us. But I'm going to be curious to see if we get to drop a Sunhawk on him. It's not the greatest space for us to have to trade our dude into the Shell Shocker. You know, if we have to do it, we have to do it, whatever. But ideally, he'll play a unit, and then we get the big shutdown with the Sunhawk. But our draw this game has been doo-doo butter. We got that great recovery right there at the beginning, picking up the one-cost unit. But the Nox and Fervor, Decimate Nox and Fervor is not the collection of units we're really looking to add to our board. Right, and a Ravenbloom Conservatory. Not what I was expecting out of Misfortune Gangplank. And so this upcoming turn is exactly what I'd be talking about in terms of how nice it would be to find a Daybreak. What are you, Solari Priestess? You know, we're not trying to do a whole lot on this turn. We're not going to have a lot of aggressive stuff that we get to do. Just putting a dude on the board and picking up another card, even if it's something like the Warrior. Like the Warrior would be a fantastic drop for next turn, but not even capable of doing that. This is all around fairly awkward. Like, I don't really want to be Nox and Fervoring a Ruined Reckoner. But this is a... Like, I guess we need to get it out of our heads that he's playing, like, the traditional Pirates deck, and he's doing weird shit with the Ruined Reckoner and the Ravenbloom Conservatory. So, I mean, maybe we're safe to just take this and see what we draw next turn. But it's like, if he just open attacks on us next turn, well, whatever. We'll take an extra point of damage here. We probably should have just Nox and Fervored this guy with the thing on the stack, so we didn't take the crack shot. Now he gets the extra skill for the conservatory. Kind of lame, but maybe we should. Man, we probably should have just blocked as well. Now if he comes at us with like there shouldn't be any combat tricks, but if he has like a sharpened resolve to protect this guy from the damage, we're just going to get boomed. So all around, not top tier plays for the turn. Okay. I can live with that. So we have got him down to 2 cards. We'll have to worry about this Tybalak coming up, but if we can draw some of our mid-game value here, start to feel pretty decent about it. But see, this is exactly the space I'm talking about in terms of those like really aggressively oriented decks. Like, if you start drawing House Spider at this spot, that has to feel so bad. So we're really turning up the heat now that we've picked up Leona, but it just strike me as so weird that the all-in aggression that people are trying to pull off. So we do have an interesting spot here. We've got the opponent down pretty low. We have 7 damage of burn in hand along with the Shunpo. And so we're going to stun his single unit. I would suspect he's going to have a follow-up play, but we do legitimately have to ask ourselves, like, you know, if he doesn't have a play, would we just, you know, try and send the damage directly to face? And it's close. If, like, we would draw a Daybreak for the next turn, it would get us really close to the lethal with the stun coming in from Leona, but we'll see. Should be in a pretty good spot here, especially if we draw a Daybreak. Like, we're going to be Shunpoing next turn. He shouldn't have the mana to do anything with the Ravenbloom Conservatory. And cool. Good enough draw with the Solari Soldier. No. No. You cannot use the Siren. Alright, so we might just lethal him with what we have on board here. We're going to Shunpo the Crackshot Corsair. He doesn't have any more mana to play on units. We've got, I don't know, 12 damage on board. Pretty good spot to be in here. Thing with Shunpo, if you're not familiar, you even if you kill off the unit, we still get the rally. And so it's not one of those things like Vile Feast that gets counterspelled if the unit goes away. All right. Looking pretty good. Looking like that lethal zone. GG. Mark it a W for bust. Okay, next battle. Oh, what do we got here? A little bit of Echo Jinx. This is not a good matchup. This one does not go particularly well for our deck. It's one of these things as to where if we can ban it in best of 3, then we will. But of course, you don't have that option out here. And so just looking for a pretty early game aggressive draw. Again, if you don't know what to do with this, if you don't know how to get your start, you're going to try and just spend your first 6 mana on units. And punch in as much of that early game damage as you can. And so you're going to try that really nice aggro start, and then you're going to switch up to doing a little bit of tempo plays with your Leonas and the stuns. Right. Slow start from opponent. And so the thing to really kind of look out for with this deck is our ability to take Echo off of the board. And we have, you know, pretty reasonable ways to do it. If they're not coming in and getting those Echo attacks and getting the time tricks running and everything, they tend to fall behind pretty quickly. And having access to the stuns and the Noxid Fervors and the like to keep him away, pretty good. All right, so I don't think we want to open attack here. We'll see what he adds. That's close, actually. Like, if we're going to just trade away our 2 small units for his units, we don't even get the trades because the Chronomancer just kills. I'm at this spot to where I don't want to add a unit because I want to be able to Nox and Fervor. Okay, let's do this. Let's just send in the Sun Guardian. If he has, like, the -2 attack predict, I don't really care. He's not going to die, but with Leona already in hand, we should be able to kind of formulate some of these turns to where we get to just have a wider board and start stunning his stuff down. So I'm not entirely certain if this deck still plays Mystic Shot. Looks like it does. that kind of sucks. I was thinking in my head, it's like, do we want to go for the kind of guaranteed kill with the Sun Guardian or the small unit? And it just, like, Mystic Shot's so far out of the format these days, I didn't feel like we really had to worry about it. But sometimes you're wrong. So we'll go ahead and get Leona down now. We can play Ravoon next turn. Ideally, we'll be able to get this Jinx off of the board before she starts generating death rockets. You never know against the Jinx deck. They have so many like 0-cost cards that it's not super reliable. The other thing that you have to kind of like consider is if you really want to be slamming Leona into Jinx, like Leona's not gonna die. She has enough health and she's gonna have the barrier to survive it, but it's like, do we fall too far behind with that attack? Because we're going to say play Ravoon next turn, it's gonna stun Jinx, and then we can attack around a Jinx from that point forward. And it just feels really bad if we come after the Jinx and then he has that -2 attack thing. We just like get tempoed so hard, especially when we have double Decimate in our hand. Very interesting seeing the Get Excited come onto Leona that early. I guess he's just trying to empty out his hand and get the flip. But here, now that we have the combo, we just lucked into another Solari Soldier for another stun. We're just going to the dome place. We're going to the nugget piece. We're going to send it right to the face place, you know? All right, opponent's doing stuff. Here comes the Soldier getting another stun. We can hook somebody out of combat. He can block our 6-attack unit. Then we'd be coming in for 11 at this point, assuming he doesn't have any more plays. Alright, not bad. He did have the Scrying Sands. Would have felt bad, huh? Would have felt bad. Right, but cool, we got him down to 1 card. He spews out his hand next turn to flip the Jinx, or realistically he's probably going to flip the Jinx this turn, right? But I feel pretty safe in terms of our Decimate getting to do some work. Alright, incoming Death Rocket, take us to 12. There is the potential to lose the game next turn, but he's got to have some big-time top decks to get out of this mess. Echo is a pretty big-time top deck, but it's going to also need a Rite of Negation now. There it is. GG. The W has been marked. So yeah, a little sloppy in there. I don't like our Nox and Fervor play as much as it turned out, but still able to achieve the victory at the end of the day. GG. Find a match, the deck tracker went away. Here we go. Game 3 coming at you. What up, Pushy? A little bit of mirror match action. Let's see how it goes. All right. Got all those rear guards coming at you. And now a Soldier. I don't think we'll want to Soldier on the first turn. As you could kind of see in that previous game, or maybe the one before, you do run into these spots to where it's really nice to be on like turn 6 to where you're able to play Ravoon and play a Solari Soldier, or even just play a Solari Soldier and play a Shunpo or something. And so it is kind of nice to get to save them up. We're not going to do it here. We have too aggressive of a draw. I'm okay just to throw away the card advantage to hit for face, but typically don't want to like lead with that dude if you don't have to. Depends on what you're playing against. If you're in a spot to where you might get hit with a Quietus or something, then you're typically a little more okay with the amount of aggression you throw in. Now this is kind of scary. Like I don't want to get hit by a Pale Cascade. And so it's like if we just stall this out for a turn, we can pivot back over to the Sun Guardian next turn. But it's like we get worked over real hard if he's got that single combat trick. But we'll give up on the stats for the round. His units will shrink for the next turn anyways, so hopefully we can get a little something going there.
No one's the wiser.
Now we get a little Pale Cascade of our own. Not bad timing. So there's not any like bad units he can really add to the board this turn, right? If this was turn 5, we would have really had to consider open attacking, because if he gets to drop Leona and have the big units and have the stuns, or even just drop Ravoon for the big boy, we have a lot of opportunity for failure there. But just on turn 4, the worst that he can be doing is going to be adding a stun bird, adding a shield breaker, something that limits our aggression a little bit. Trades across the board. Looks good. Hang on to this Pale Cascade. Nothing we have on the board right now is super high valued. And so I think it's okay to try and protect a little bit with it on the next round.
Forward in the name of the Solari.
You got a Leona. I got a Leona. Everybody's got a Leona. But we should be in pretty good shape here. Like, we're ready to get into this grind mode. You can see that he was playing the Legion Saboteurs, right? And we dealt with it. It traded for a small unit. Us getting to add things like Solari Priestess next turn are such a big deal. Getting to generate the extra card as we're coming into this grind mode right now. Having things like Decimate be, bad draws really can kind of get in the way of your card advantage engines. And so, not bad. Now we get this stun onto Leona. All right, we can't Fallen Comet this turn, but having that big removal spell is exceptionally good. He's going to try and play a dude, get a stun onto the Sun Guardian. That's okay. We could look to Morning Light and stun Ravoon, but if we're gonna be real, there's not much need to do that. Not gonna push in any damage. Alright, what you got for us? Are you going to bring an open attack? Nope. Because I'm bringing in Ravoon. So it's a little unfortunate for us not having a Daybreak here. He's got this nice chain of Ravoons to do some Daybreaking of his own, keep the Leona up and running, but hopefully we can recover through the turn here. Be really nice to top deck one for the next turn, or, I mean, if we want, you can Morning Light onto the Solari Priestess to kind of pick up a free card. We might have to look into doing that next turn. I mean, we might even realistically need to do it here, but we can get into combat with these Ravoons and not feel horrible. All right. We gotta slow this down a little bit. We just need the time, right? And the Decimate Legion Rearguard are not the best generators of time, so we'll slow that down just a little bit. Now our blocks are incredibly good with the barriered Leona and the Priestess. Alright, so let's drop the rear guard, see if we can't get a stun for next turn. We gotta see what we daybreak up here. We probably gotta be open attacking, but we gotta see what turns up.
Glory, answer to me.
The Tellstones are fine. Give us a nice interactive measure out here.
You cannot sway me.
He's doing his stuff. It's got to be like a Reveler's Feast or a Pale Cascade. There's not a ton of interactive things that this opposing deck is doing. So how much is this? It's 8 coming at Leona. I was really looking to Whirling Death down the Ravine. It's like, are we okay if we actually give up on our Leona here? I'm not really excited about it. We have to decide before we Pale Cascade.
Strike while the planets align.
8 damage coming into Leona. I mean, I guess we can go for the Sharpened Resolve. But if you're going to Sharpened Resolve, you might as well just get the Whirling Death and make her take less damage. Yes, you might as well strike with the Sun Guardian. Okay. So we got in for 3 damage. He still has a Ravine behind. He needs like a Leona or a Katarina right here. If he doesn't have a big play, it's going to be painful. Okay. Not a bad open attack here with the Sun Guardian. Nice, or the Eclipse Dragon. Nice create from the Ravine. Has to be an open. If he doesn't open, we're so far ahead. See if they go for it. Does not. Beautiful. Cannot get Ravine on the board fast enough. Cannot come down fast enough. GG. Alright, on to the next one. Give him up the broccoli snacks. That's what our advantage actually was in that game. If you notice the skin selection from the opponent, they were going with the corrupted Leona, which, you know, it's arguably worse than the OG Leona. It's just so scary. I don't like it. It's, you know, I don't want to pull up the skins and be like, wow, this is like watching a scary movie right now. You know, I might shake in my boots or tinkle in my pants or something, and so. I really prefer to go with the broccoli snacks Leona here. It's been a pretty good decision that served us well up to this point, and so, you know, if you take away anything from the video, it's that. It's it's the proper skin selection. So here, I assume that he's never going to block, but you do want to have the rear guard over to the left, right? If he blocks something, he's blocking rear guard, so we don't want to deal 3, then have him trade onto our guy and gain 2. Oh, he's not going to gain anything back. I assume this guy had lifesteal. Alright, we'll take the free health away from him. Might even find ourselves wanting to Nox and Fervor this thing next turn. Like, we have a pretty good open with the Legion rear guards. Oh boy. Swapping it out. Interesting. I would assume that you would just want to trade there. And now a Katarina. Katarina's quite interesting given that, assuming he blocks a 3 attack unit. Let's go with this. The downside to Katarina is if he has a strike card, right? If he has the 4 mana strike thing, but I mean, I think I'm kind of okay with him giving up his entire turn just to strike her down.
Okay, ready.
You will see.
And a violent discord. Okay.
I'm not done.
Give me that Blade's Edge. Let's bring it. Okay. So he gets a dude out of this. Looks like he's gonna be picking up his Aatrox as well, and so may not find ourselves in the space to where we get to open attack on the upcoming turn. All right. Lots of healing coming through. Do we actually want to hit this? I definitely want to be Nox and Fervoring this turn, but maybe we do it with the bird. It's got the less health. We're going to be struggling next round. We really need to pick up like another Nox and Fervor or a Decimate or something to try and get out of this. As soon as Aatrox comes down, we're really going to struggle. Interesting. Didn't play like Kayn or anything.
I'll do better this time.
Well, I mean, at least with this attack, if he's going to have the Unforgiven Cold or if he's going to have one of the strike cards, he can't play anything else this turn. Well, he can play stuff. He can't play the cards that matter, right? He can't drop the Aatrox and he can't drop the Kayn when he has to tap down to 4 mana. Try and get us set up for another open attack on the next turn. Interesting with the Priestess. Like, we can't use any of her cards this turn, but if we pick up like an Obliterate, might want to use the Obliterate next turn. So we'll see what turns up out of this.
Mortality is madness. I am doom.
We also have that decision if we want to go for a big Twilight Protector next turn. That's another thing that, you know, could potentially fit in the curve. It's written in the stars. Should be good. Give us a chance to either pick up Leona or to pick up Katarina. So I'm going to stop here. If we pick up Leona with the written in the stars, I want to be able to get as many stuns as we can. Pick up Katarina. Still not entirely certain we want to play her. Let's see what opponent spends their mana on here. It's like we can drop the Solari Soldier and drop the Twilight Protector to give all of our dudes that +1/+1 bonus. Why is he swapping this shit out?
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics.
So here's this will be our big decision if we want to Katarina or play the Protector. See what he spends his mana on. Like our units are bigger than they are bigger than Katarina at this point. So if he's going to play his Flash Freeze card, then we could still, like, Katarina would dodge it, right? It's going to hit Ravun and it's going to hit Sun Guardian. Is that even like a good thing though? Let's see. He's got 3 blocks. I think we have to Katarina. It's like we're never gonna lethal. If we're like playing under the assumption that he has that thing, then he can stop our 2 big hits and then block 3 of our small ones. We'll never punch in for lethal. So I think we have to Katarina here just to try and get her up and running.
Devotion through battle.
There's the frostbite thing, sure. Maybe we should have attacked with Katarina a little bit to the left. Aatrox probably wouldn't have had to block her, though.
With me. Not much sport.
Had to check on the World Ender. It's at 13. It's going to drop down to like 10 after this combat, but seems like we're making some moves. So we have 3 units at the end of the day. No, 2 units and a Katarina in hand, but
They'll
okay.
never know what killed them.
Anything cool? Nox and Fervor? Can play everything in hand. I think we might realistically rather just play 2 Katarinas in the same turn, but see what he spends his mana on. Like, how much do you even have to care about Kayn? He is strong enough to just take down Katarina. I guess that's enough to worry about. So let's go with the Protector. Got all these big boy stats now. And what's he even realistically going to do? Just like bring in an equipment? I think we're okay.
No going back.
I guess the card to worry about, at least in terms of this Aatrox, is if he's going to if he's going to try and use that thing that he's played one of the cultist combat trick, right? He played that really early in the game, Momentous Choice. I think that would be the last thing to worry about here if we want to try and put Sun Guardian in front of Aatrox and just get blasted by that. Here it comes. So that looks good, right? He's still going to have his Kayn. Or he's still going to have his Aatrox, but he falls to 3, and then we get the lethal out of this. Okay. Sounds good to me. Right, doesn't matter which unit we block. We attack with both. He blocks, say, our leftmost Ravoon goes up to 5 and then takes 8 from the Sun Guardian. GG. Okay. Good stuff. Well done, team. You should congratulate your units on occasion. Tell them they did a good job. You know, say, I believe in you guys. I trust in what you can do. You help me, I'll help you. We'll hold hands at the end of the day. All right, next battle. What do we got? Winter Sun piloting the Lulu Jinx. So it's a serviceable matchup. It's not one of the most spectacular ones in the world, but we do have a lot of stuff that lines up well against what they're doing. One of the things one of the guess big shutdowns I say you can get is if on their Lulu turn, so the turn when they add Lulu to the board, if you're able to just stun her with a stun bird, it tends to put you in a pretty good spot in terms of Like this is a deck that wants to either just be like completely flooding the boards with units, or they want to go with the more value-based route of putting Lulu down and then using the Flame Chompers. And if you get to cut, it's like if you have good angles on both attacks. If you get to cut down the attacks with your big units when they go wide, or if you can shut down the Lulu on their tempo draws. Typically want a 2-drop. This is gonna this is gonna be painful, but lots of good things you can do. Nothing a good giggle can't fix. You're not wrong, Lulu. Alright, so I'm not going to Sunburst this turn. I'm going to Rear Guard, and I'm going to play Katarina. There is some argument to try and take the Sun Guardian up to 4, because if opponent has a Flame Chompers here that they get to use with their Lulu, we're going to struggle. Right, if we have the 4-attack Sun Guardian, then we can Whirling Death next turn. But, was he just kind of giving up on using her? The other question is, do we even want to attack with Katarina? I don't think Katarina wants to attack here. I'll still send in the Rear Guard. Like, he's never blocking, but I don't want to give up my width. The opponent's going to be able to pick up width kind of at will, as to where we don't have that opportunity. So we'll keep Katarina back to block. If she gets a trade, that's okay. This is a match where we just need time. And then if we get Leona down next turn, that's pretty huge. He needs to be bursting out of Flame Chompers. Like, that's the scary place for us to be looking at right now. Realistic chance that he put the spear onto Lulu, not entirely certain why. Maybe he was just planning to trade Lulu into Sun Guardian. I wonder if he just has like another Lulu or 2 Lulus in his hand and he's looking at trading her away or something. Interesting. Now the fresh question, I guess, is we can protect the Sun Guardian if we want to Nox and Tellstones and give it a boost. Falling to 8. Like, I mean, I don't think I want to Death Lotus Tellstones the Urchin just to prevent the 4 damage. Gotta get something a little better going. Let's Priestess. I want to see if we hit a 2 Sisters. Did not.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren. Jinx stands for Jinx.
Okay, well, let's see what we can do here. I assume this Jinx is going to flip, but if he's got 2 units in hand, we might be able to kill her before she gets that opportunity, or at least make him have bad discards. Oh boy, well, that'll do it. GG. But fairly awkward draw. Not having anything to do on the second turn of the game is pretty painful, but I like how we attacked that one. On to the next one. Saw old Grappler out there getting in trouble on the Twitter, trying to shame people into exercising. I don't have a big take on it. You know, do what you want. I feel like we've reached the point in humanity as to where everyone understands that you should probably do at least a little bit of exercise and eat a little bit of vegetables in your life. But you know, the just having a little bit of balance goes a long way. But the thing that I always think of when it comes to activity and my kind of personal journey was I think as you get like older, this is like a very common thing to have happen, is to where like I had a job that I had to commute an hour to, and so I would commute an hour there, so I was sitting down the whole time, and then I do computer stuff, so I sit in front of a computer the whole time. So I'd sit there for 8 or 9 hours in front of the computer. Of course, you get up to go take a shit and go to lunch or whatever, but for the most part, you're just being sedentary and sitting there. And then I sit the whole way back on that hour drive. And so, if you're awake for 16 hours, that's 10 or 11 hours of your day just devoted to sitting, and then you're realistically just going to come home and play video games the rest of the day, and that's another 3 or 4 hours just sitting there. And so once I got to be like 25 or 26, I just kind of said, well, I gotta do something. I know that it's not ultimately super healthy to just sit for 10 to 16 hours a day. And then that was what got me into going to the gym. And so, it's the little things like that that can push you forward. I don't think there's much value in trying to tell people they're going to have cognitive decline if they don't exercise. But I think it is safe to pretty say that, as with most things in life, you should just have a little bit of balance, and that'll go a long way. Oh gosh, we got a kitty coming up here. There's definite balance in the kitties. They don't. This is the only one that hangs out. I don't. I've got 3 kitties, but only the one hangs out. We need to get a little bit more balance in the videos of the kitties spending time with us.
Daylight breaks on the battlefield.
All right, but pretty reasonable here. On the previous turn, there is argument to not attack with the 3/2 since it trades into the opposing 2/2. But my ultimate concern starts to be: are they going to have a what's your name? Vanguard Bannerman, just to like boost the whole team, or even like Garen now, to where we start to struggle with the smaller units. So if we got a trade, I felt like that was going to be a win. He's trying to hit one of these really high-powered turns, and I feel like we shut that down pretty well here. Definitely coming into battle. I don't want to Pale Cascade. I want to... these are all elites, right? I want to save it for a high-value unit, preferably the Leona, but it's going to fall either way here. Don't think we have a way out of that. Okay. But we do have another Leona in hand, ready to bring some thunder. Come on, kitty. Come on. She's doing what her dumbass son does. Come on. This is Pepper. This is the one that's been hanging out in our videos recently. She usually just jumps. She jumps over the arm of the chair and lands on me. She's doing what her dumbass son does, which is walk circles around walk circles around the chair while meowing incessantly. All right, so there's the Vanguard Bannerman taking the good hook into Garen away from us. But I think it's safe to say we're in a pretty powerful spot here. He's not going to want to open attack next turn. We're going to get to drop the Ravoon down for the stun onto Garen. The thing we got to kind of start to watch out for ourselves here with is going to be Judgment. I don't know whether or not this deck is physically going to play Judgment, but if you draw a second copy of Garen, then you have access to Judgment. And so as long as our whole team isn't getting AoE'd, we should be in a fairly safe space. Come on, kitty. Come on. There we go. That's what everybody came here for. Says, what up, internet? It's Pepper. She's dumb, There's no denying it. This is not a smart cat. So she figured it out eventually, though. All right, but should be in a good space here. We got the double stun onto his units. If he has another big unit to try and Judgment us with, I think our Ravoon and our Sun Guardian should be big enough to sneak around it. He's got to only have 3 mana to play a unit with and then follow up with Judgment. It's very hard to have a 3 mana unit with 8 attack. Cytheria is pretty close. Cytheria is close. Just go ahead and take another stun. That should be enough to get us out of this, right? Sure is. GG. All right, next battle.
Our deeds will be written in the heavens.
In my lands of exercise, the thing that like blew my mind the most, the weirdest thing to me was like you don't like realize it. Like I mean I played like soccer and baseball and basketball when I was a kid, but I quit playing sports when I was like I don't know, like 10 or 11 or 12, and then did like zero exercise until I was like 25 years old. But it's like you start like slamming doors. it's completely unintentional, but you don't realize it once you've like picked up a touch of strength that you never had for the past decade, and you just start slamming doors shut. I always like the story of like I would accidentally crush people's hands at Magic tournaments. Right, you show up at a in-person Magic event, you give a little handshake before the game, and then you just crush the dude's hand. You just don't realize that shit until somebody tells you, and kind of feel a little bad in hindsight, but it's it's still kind of funny at the end of the day. All right, up against Annie Jen. I'm curious if like Annie Jen doesn't start to have like a resurgence coming into seasonals. Like I'm not gonna read into seasonals too much. We're just gonna play what we're gonna play. But the big rising star of the format right now the is the Katarina Opulent Foyer deck, and it really struggles against these super all-in aggressive decks. It doesn't like playing against Legion Rearguards. It doesn't like playing against Annie Jen. It doesn't like playing against tokens. And I'm curious to what degree the decks cycle around as to where people look to combat the look to combat the deck with the aggression, and what we'll see coming out of seasonals with that. I think it's probably like too slow in terms of time, not in terms of decks, but in terms of if you're trying to wait on the meta to shape around that. I don't think there's going to be time for that. But here, this is kind of interesting. We could look to play Katarina, then use Katarina to kill the Crackshot Corsair. You don't really want to be going tall against this deck. If he gets to roll into his next turn and then put a stun onto our Sun Guardian, and then you get a bunch of width coming at us, that's ultimately pretty scary. And so you have the opportunity to, say, play Katarina, not attack with her, and then shoot down the Crackshot Corsair, which is kind of tempting. The downside with going Katarina is we can like Nox and Fervor out of this combat. Like I'm looking at it as like, okay, we can play Katarina, we can still block the Boom Crew Rookie, we can shoot down the Crackshot Corsair, but we can't really play any more cards at that point. So if he has a stage hand, then we're just like stuck blocking the stage hand with our Katarina, and we're still getting blasted. To whereas if we play Sun Guardian, we do have the opportunity to still Nox and Fervor in this combat. So I'm going to go with the Sun Guardian. He has Doom Beast. Now, the new question is going to be, do we want to Nox and Fervor before combat? And I think we do. It lets us still come in and block this Boom Crew Rookie without losing our Sun Guardian. And so we get to prevent the 2 points of damage coming out of the Crackshot Corsair, prevent that little bit of damage that he could have from the Jin in hand or something. Okay, not bad. We're pretty low. Like I think we only win this game like 30% of the time now or something. But I think we've got ourselves in a pretty good spot to succeed. These decimates aren't doing anybody any favors. Doing our opponent some favors, I guess. Not doing us any favors. But reasonable turn. Pigeon comes in. Katarina can shoot the Crackshot Corsair. We got a bigger squad than the opponent. We got the width that you need to try and take this down. See what he does. I wonder if there's like a Jin involved in his hand. Like Jin is very expensive at the moment. not adding a lot to the board. What the fuck is this thing? Kill an ally. Deal 3 to the enemy nexus. Alright, can't do anything about that.
Never play fair.
Would have been a good target for the old Nox and Fervor. Okay, okay. Maybe Fan. What are we coming in for? 13? We could take him down to 4? Turns out 4 is enough to kill somebody with a Decimate, and so that's close. Alright, alright. It's nice when they don't have any units on the board, because then you don't have to worry about Nox and Fervors coming at you, so we might have something. Dropping Katarina for a rally is pretty big next turn as well, and so maybe we're alright. Leona for stuns. I'm leaning more towards Katarina, but we probably can't lethal this turn. Let's see what he plays. It strikes me as a hand where he has like a Gen and he has a Decimate, and it's tough to... you really want to be spewing your whole hand on the board, but hand's too clogged up to do it.
If you do not have a
What you got for us? The stage hand. So are we going to go for a Katarina play? I mean, I'm leaning towards just playing Leona and trying to open attack next turn. I don't see any other way around it. We're not going to lethal this turn, right? We play Katarina, he gets to attack. I mean, I guess he doesn't even get to attack, because we can just take it and maybe kill on the backswing. It feels like he's going to have another Doom Beast or something. Alright.
first light of
Leona it is. We'll try to win off the open next turn. Aha. The Doom Beast. Okay. What can you do for us, deck? Can we get there? Can we achieve victory? So short. 4, 8, 1 short with the Pale Cascade. So we've got to add a card to the board. We're just going to get decimated, aren't we? Gonna get decimated.
my faith protects me.
I don't know. I mean, we didn't take any damage from attacks on the previous turn, and we didn't have a chance to get the lethal. I think that's okay. I just don't think we ever get out of this now. So close. So close. I feel like we prevented every point of damage we could that game, though. That's typically what a lot of these come down to. I guess we did have that opportunity to play Katarina on, like, turn 3, and we didn't take that. I was too worried about the stage hand and the stun birds, which would have completely shut us out of the game. And so I think we played that reasonably. I think we read into the situation nicely as well. Just weren't able to get through what the opponent had. All right, the final battle against Drissoth, bringing out the dumb Katarina deck. Let's see what we can do. So this is tough. You need a couple of things in here. You're ideally just bringing a bunch of aggro at them. And then secondly, you want to have ways to try and shut down their Katarina. Now, the ways to shut down Katarina are never any fucking good. And so what you tend to see in a lot of these matches is you're like, okay, well, I got this stun bird. I can stun bird a Katarina, and then they're able to just boost the attack on another unit. Or you're like, okay, I got this Nox and Fervor on Katarina. I can handle her now. And they're just like, oh, I got the +2/+2 thing. And it's just ultimately they have so many options to come in and protect her. It's just such a pain in the dick. But we can slow down their aggression here just a little bit. might have an opportunity. It's just when you want to start getting those big like foyer combo turns, it just takes so much mana and so little board investment that you get. Right, you're trying to play an opulent foyer. It doesn't really get a good like it doesn't leave stuff on the board on the opposing turn. It's just a lot of very awkwardness that comes out of it. Interesting. Let's see if that Katarina comes down. Just a Gwen. Okay.
What a joy!
Alright, we got some answers to this stuff. A little bit. Nox and Fervor tends to be the safest way to deal with Katarina, not in the sense of killing her with it, but just sacrificing off a block to get away from her. But these dumbass decks play Might now as well, and so it's like somebody sat down and thought of all the angles as to how to get your Katarina in there and doing nasty things. Okay. Well, not bad. We've definitely got the board advantage. He doesn't have a foyer. He needs like a foyer, and he needs a Katarina to really bring in the high-powered shenanigans. Ooh, Soldier's not a bad draw. We're probably gonna be going for a Shunpo kill next turn, and so having access to the Solari Soldier to just have a cheap play and have the mana for Shunpo is quite powerful. It's down to 1 mana.
Ours is the one true light.
Just take the shutdown while we can. See, there's the Mark of the Isles to to boost the Katarina and let her still get the attack in. I think this is fine. She's gonna get the rally and come back in hand, but he's still a little limited in what he can do. He's out of mana, so we don't have to worry about the Blade's Edge here. And then we have a really good open attack next turn.
No one gets in my way.
Punish transgression.
Get out there. Get into the battle zone, friends.
Feel the sun's glory.
All right, let's line up this Decimate. See if it does cool Decimate things. It's actually going to be... Is it going to be safer to Shunpo? You shouldn't have ways to gain health. All right. GG. Market a W. Team Bust. And so yeah, not a bad set of games. Not a bad set of games. I feel like we, managed that pretty well. And this is the kind of space I get in when I get to just play a deck a whole lot. We actually get to climb up in the ladder and have some good success. As I come out and do content creation stuff, it's just such a departure from like just playing Expedition all the time and really just getting in a good draft over and over and over again. Or the way before I was doing content creation stuff, is like I remember playing like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of matches of Secret Mage and in Hearthstone, and I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of matches of things like Blue Green Madness and Magic, and that's what would really kind of like push me up to the level. And so it's taken me a bit of getting used to kind of like switching back into Constructed and trying to balance playing the same deck over and over again so I can have some success on the ladder and in these tournaments, but then also not bringing the same video over and over and over and over again every day. And so it's nice to be able to come out here and climb a little bit. But to come back to the deck, I think we got to show off a lot of things with this today. I think we showed off nicely how much better we are just in the mirror match, and then also what I think is kind of the optimal list of this. We saw earlier against Pushy Pie, them trying to still play Legion Saboteurs. That's old news. That's fake news. That's yesterday's news. I think what we're trying to pull off here is much more powerful. Not playing those weaker, more highly aggressively based cards, taking out the House Spiders, taking out the Legion Saboteurs, taking out the Reveler's Feast, adding in the Solari Priestesses and the Shunpo and the Noxatel Stones. I've been preaching it for a couple weeks now, and I still sound pretty happy and pretty confident in what we're putting forth here. Highly recommend it for everyone. And so that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.